In the 90s, Playmates Toys made
Streamline.
the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. I am so excited for this episode for three reasons, Mike. Can you think about the three ways I'm excited about this episode? One,
I mean, I'm excited about three ways too, buddy, but this is a wrong podcast for that.
No. We're already on Look at My Star Trek Toys Dark again. We're blue? What the heck? That didn't take very long.
No, I guess you're right.
Well,
all right, let's be serious. I apologize.
All right. First off, we are going to be reviewing some of my favorite toys because these are my favorite uniforms. These were a good get for me. I was very excited to get these because they're a little bit harder to get your hands on. So that I'm excited about. Two, we're doing a regular toys episode. We haven't done one of these in a while. We've been looking at
them. Almost forgot how.
We almost forgot. Well, we never knew how. But we've been doing lots of customs and displays and ships, and those have been amazing. But it's really fun to get back into the old school toys. And three, I'm looking forward to watching you feign enthusiasm because it's the same uniform over the entire cast. And
well, we'll get right through it, baby.
No, I am so excited for these. So before we do that, Mike, we have an announcement, don't we?
We do. We're really putting all our chips in this basket. So if you, for some reason, have ever went and watched our other show, one of our other shows, you'll recognize that we ask for money in a variety of ways that are difficult to make happen. And it turns out that all the creators now are using patreon.com because it's a great service, and we will be doing the same. It will be to support all of our shows on our channel. So this show, our the practice show, our upcoming new show, which we haven't announced yet, sort of haven't. Well, we're doing a DS9 watch along. We're doing a DS9 watch along.
We're doing a full Deep Space Nine watch along and review show. It's going to be so much fun. It's not going to be in your feed yet. We're dropping it April 13th if you're watching this in real time. So couldn't be more excited about it. Mike, continue the spiel.
Yeah, we've shot 4 episodes so far. I'm loving the show thus far. I'm glad Keith sort of strong-armed me into it. And we'll be reviewing the episodes, talking about them a little less verbosely than in the past, although still pretty verbose. But if you're a Patreon, one of the tiers, you can actually watch the show along with me in real time. I think it's going to work. We'll see. I've got them recorded. And there'll be a lot of other tiers and some perks and maybe some bonus content, whatnot. But, even join us at the $1 level just to help offset some of our cost and our time. But you can also help the show simply by subscribing, liking this video, hitting the bell notification, or, hey, telling some people, let's get those subs up. So I think that's what I wanted to say, Keith. You made a nice fancy thing.
There we go. I was wondering if we were going to keep the Patreon link secret.
Yes,
but
it's patreon.com/KME shows. So that's not a URL. What Keith has put here is, I don't believe anything helpful, but you can see that it is
We've been recording for a long time today.
Patreon.com/KME. That won't bring you anywhere.
Well, much like our show, it's of no use to anyone, especially us. Well, you get the gist. If you're on this,
made my day. You get the point. Yeah.
I don't know. The .com thing. It's an internet thing. It's really big with the kids, the internet. So
I guess I have to have that up by Thursday then, since we're announcing it today.
Yeah, apparently. Well, actually, you have to. It's not going anywhere, so you don't have to have anything up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is going well.
I
did have another thing I wanted to say. So, Keith informs me he's running out of toys. So, if you want to write into the show, you can do so. Look at my Star Trek Toys at gmail.com. If you want to send us figures, as our one of our benefactors, Pat, has done for us to look, be it figures or play sets to keep this thing going. We have the customs we do. We haven't decided yet what happens when we run out of toys for Keith. If you've got ideas for this particular show on the channel, let us know below, because we are actively looking for something where we don't know. We need some creative insight. Are you enjoying the custom shows? Would you like those to keep up? We're not sure. So let us know what you think below.
Okay, well, now that everyone has just skipped the last 5 minutes, let's get to the good stuff. Today, we are talking about the next generation movie era Target exclusive 4.5-inch figures. These are pretty interesting. They're my favorite uniform. I've talked about this endlessly. But these were Target exclusive figures, so you could only get them at Target, and there's not very many of them. They only made 10,000 of each. So getting your hands on them are a little bit more difficult, especially in the era of customization, because a lot of these have to be sacrificed to make some of the Deep Space Nine figures, to make some of the other custom figures. So they're definitely prized for me. I got them all. I got the whole set from an estate sale way back, not the one that I unboxed, but years ago. So I was very excited to get it. So why don't we stop talking about it and show you the first figure of the Target exclusives, and that is figure 65801, Jean-Luc Picard. Let's take a look. Here he is. So, you know, for Mike, I know it. Look, it's another Picard figure. We've seen a lot of those, but for me, this is the boss. This is awesome. I'm super excited about this. Mike, tell us what you feel.
Well, I know that you loved that uniform. You love the ribbing in the costuming. I think it's cool. As I've said on the show before, you had me at black, right? I love a black sleek uniform. Yes, it's similar, but it's different enough. I like the red accenting. It's a great likeness of Patrick Stewart, of course. This is a cool one. What sets it apart for you, Keith?
Well, it really is the costume design. It feels they obviously built this for the big screen, for the cinema. And so they were able to put in a little bit more detail, a little bit more texturing, which now we watch Next Gen and we see all the details on our Netflix. But that's because it's been upgraded to HD. Back in the day, you really weren't able to see every little seam, every little detail, because it was 480 at best. But these were built for the big screen. So you see all the seam work on the shoulder and in front. And I just think that having your division colors be a highlight as opposed to the whole thing gives a much more cohesive look to Starfleet and the bridge. And you see that much more as they moved on. They sort of moved in that direction. So starting with Deep Space Nine and Voyager, all the way through first season of Discovery, we sort of had that more unified look. And I always thought that was classy. I thought it looked great. It is interesting to see in the screenshot here, the shoulders read more purple on camera and more gray on the figure itself. And I know that it was gray in real life, but look, when you're doing TV lighting or theater lighting, there's a lot of, colored gels, which just add color to anything that's gray. It's gonna take on the color of the gels, so it comes off a little purple. Either way, I think it looks dynamite. So I love these.
Yeah, and
I love
think
these
it's
uniforms.
important. I often complain when there's not a lot of detailing or things are very samey in the figure side. But I remember, as adults, you do have the option to get some. For purchase and for collection, there are tons of highly detailed models and things you can get. But in the toy verse, especially as kids, even as adults, I have to remember that the figures are representative of an idea, right? This figure isn't so much that it's this uniform or the model of the uniform, but it reminds you of the movie, of that look. And I think that's something important for me to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have some more thoughts about these figures, but let us move on to the next one so we're not just staring at Spinny Picard for this entire episode, and talk about our next figure, 65802, of course, it's Lieutenant Worf. Here he is, Michael Dorn as Worf. Such a, again, iconic. Looks great. The silver baldric against the black, I think, stands out beautifully. And it's a cool figure. I mean, you get a sense of the scale of how much bigger he is in real life. Actually, if you go to Toy Cam, let's see him next to Picard, and you get a sense of the height difference. And look, as we talk about the scale of the new figures coming out, this Worf figure is every bit 5 inches. So that's going to be the scale that we're going to be looking at. But it's really cool, and you can see again the shoulder detail, the seams built in there, the new communicator. But for me, and the ponytail. So this is late Worf with a ponytail. And
does he have the same heft, the same sort of bulk as some of the other Worfs we've seen?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely has the same heft as the original Worf all the way back for Series 1. Then, of course, this is also a really good figure because it also works for Deep Space Nine. Because, spoiler alert, as we're doing our DS9 watch, it's kind of hard to keep the secret that Worf's going to join at some point, and he's going to wear this uniform on the Deep Space Nine series. So it could really work in either place, as they did to Michael Dorn, because he was filming Deep Space Nine during a lot of the movies, and they had to find a reason to get Worf over to the Enterprise and off of Deep Space Nine. So if you're the type of person that is counting these unit numbers, 65801, 65802, you'd think the next one would be 65803, right? If you're really paying attention. But it's not. It's actually 65804, and I'll tell you why. Because 65803 is the famous Silver 7. That was also Target exclusive in this line. It was the one figure in this line that wasn't a next-gen figure. So we will get to that one eventually. Oh, and here's the box. So these were in the later series. These were the Warp Factor. I think these were Warp Factor Series 5, or maybe just the Target exclusive ones. But you can see this line they put a lot of effort into. You can see the choking hazards are silver. And we've talked about that before, having the choking hazards look more realistic. They're more painted. You can see the detail on the grips on the batleth and on the stabby thing. What's that thing called?
The stabby thing?
Knife. The stabby thing. The knife,
Yeah, the shiv? I've got my own. I've got my own shiv.
You do have your own shiv. Thanks, JD. So, a lot of cool effort put into this, and I'm going to show you a little bit more on that. When we look at 65804, let's look at data. Here, Brent Spiner just looking as badass as a person can look in the screen picture there. I don't know if that's from Nemesis or First Contact, but either way, looks super freaking cool. As does the figure. Again, the little pop of color with the division looks so good and feels sort of integrated with all of the rest of it. There you can see he has obviously different choking hazards than Worf. He doesn't have a batleth, but he's got big ol' phaser rifle there. Interestingly, Worf had a silver, more detailed tricorder, and Data doesn't. I don't know why Data doesn't rate, but he does. But if you hop over to Toy Cam, one of the things that I like about these figures, amongst the uniform, is that these figures represent sort of the highest level of achievement of the Playmates series in terms of articulation, right? So you have the full shoulder, knee, arm, and hip articulation here on the figures. So this is as detailed and as good as it got in the Playmates 90s line. And as they moved forward, we started to lose some of that articulation in the Warp Factor series. And so, but this right here felt like the pinnacle of what they could achieve at that point. So they're really cool to me for that reason as well. Any thoughts on Data, Mike?
Love Data, man.
Who doesn't?
Actually, Keith, I have a crossover episode question for you. I meant to ask it on our DS9 show, which won't have aired for another month or so. Time warps.
2 weeks.
But here's a spoiler alert of some of the conversation we've been having. So I noticed in the episode, this is in DS9 episode, I think 2 or 3. It's where they're making the school.
Okay, yeah, 103.
I know Brian's having a convo with his wife, and he gets sort of like a urgent communication to come to the bridge. And I realized to myself that the communicators, the audio is coming straight out of the device, or is there an earpiece? It's coming out of the device, right?
It's coming out of the device. Yeah.
That seems wildly inefficient as far as IT security goes.
Yeah, no, it's like your phone is on speaker permanently.
Yeah, and like you're talking about highly sensitive like mission messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and there's
I was like, maybe there's an earpiece and they're just like insinuating that it's in there and we're just hearing what the earpiece is picking up.
As opposed to an earpiece, if you want to be like on a secret mission, you just have to say it really quietly.
Oh, yeah,
even though it's still coming out with a speaker. Which also, then this is sort of a Deep Space Nine canon much later. I'm not entirely sure. But no, it is in Next Gen canon that it also serves as the universal translator, right? Because everybody's speaking a different language,
right?
And so it's translate. That would be a big, crazy, wild mess of noise because everyone's going to hear it, right? And it's very confusing. Whereas in an episode of Deep Space Nine, the Ferengi have a universal translator actually implanted in their ear, which would make perfect sense. And I think we're like probably closer to that than Star Trek. I mean, we're maybe 10 years from that.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
actually know, not for nothing, I have a cousin who dated and then eventually married a Brazilian, but the first 6 months of their relationship was all Google Translate. They just kept the Google Translate open and it translated for both of them.
Yeah. No, and we're very much headed there. Yeah, so we're not going to have phones soon. It's going to be a chip. It's going to be the same.
Shall we beam to the next character?
It's the same chip they put in the vaccine. All right. Anyway, let us move forward to figure number 65805, Commander Troy. So, here's another one. All the things that I like about the uniform, also like about Troy here. I will say the female figures of this line with Troy and Crusher feel weirdly boxy around the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite understand like what they're going for there. But I do think it's a decent head sculpt and hair sculpt. Any thoughts, Mike?
I mean, you gave her. She's not the greatest pose I've ever seen, but yeah, no, it's cool. I like the purple. Is it purple in person or no?
You mean the shoulders?
The figure? Yeah.
It's gray. I mean, it's like all the rest of them. I think against the teal or blue of the division colors, it maybe pops a little bit bluer. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess like if I'm looking at them now, it's a bluish gray.
Okay.
It comes off more purple on screen, which you can see on the screenshot there it looks like a publicity photo.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't know that any of the Troys have really captured Marina well, to be honest, if I'm being frank.
No, they haven't. I don't know why that's impossible to sculpt, but apparently it has been. So they're just sort of like, trust us, look at the hair.
Yeah. Insinuate.
And also like this hair, I think this sculpt, the head sculpt and hair sculpt is from earlier figures as well. I don't think they did a brand new sculpt for this, which is why it doesn't quite match what's on the screen there. But fair enough. So if we move on to our next one, let's see what Jonathan Frakes sculpt came out with figure number 65806, Commander William Riker. Here he is. I was wondering who's on our stoop. Oh, it's Jillian. All right, fair enough.
I guess she's allowed.
Yeah, all right, fine. All right, she owns the house. All right, so this is Jonathan Frakes here, looking cool as heck in his movie era uniform. Again, I think it's probably a reuse of a previous head, but with the full articulation, with that era uniform, it just looks cool. That's sort of what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. They are cool. In fact, Keith, once upon a time, you were asked what uniform you'd like to be in, and I think that this is right there. It's got to be the one, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. And spoiler alert, we might have a very special episode coming up. So,
okay.
Not to tease anything, but there's gonna be something really cool coming down the pipeline. But it's interesting here. Frakes has his beard for almost all of the movie series, except for in Insurrection. He takes his beard off briefly. So for a little, bubble bath with a certain lady. So no spoilers here. But obviously, if they had to go with the beard, because that's where he goes with most of the time. So our next one is actually a little bit special. And that is figure number 65807, Dr. Crusher. Let's take a look. So here we have Dr. Beverly Crusher in her figure like this. But this is a much more special figure, as it was released in Australia only, and they only made about 4,000 of them, according to Wixaban, who I trust as an authority on all things. So this is actually an even harder to get figure. And I don't know what they go for by themselves, but I was very happy to get one in that estate sale, because it came in a complete set. So that is my understanding. You could only get it in Australia. And again, it's one of those things that there's sort of an inherent sexism in the toy world, where they don't think the female figures are going to sell as well, so they don't make as many of them, and they don't, and so there's fewer Dr. Crushers than any other figure.
Interestingly, parents that watch the show would tell you if you try to flush this figure down the toilet, it actually spins the other way.
Boo. That's not a joke. This is a joke. No, it's terrible.
Wow, you do a pretty good Trump, but you're Dundee.
No,
great.
I have a long running joke with my wife about my terrible Australian accent, which I keep telling her is flawless, even though it is abysmal. So I make it a little bit worse every day. Anyway, inside joke. All right, so let us look at our last figure in this series, because Mike, who's missing? Who's missing from our next gen cast?
Geordi.
Yeah. Where's Geordi? Where is Geordi indeed? Which is both the question for Mike, but also for us in real life, because our next figure of Geordi is a custom. Ooh. Because Playmates did not make a Geordi figure in this line.
He's also one of the more popular characters.
Of course he is. He's friggin' Geordi. But they did not make one. And in our list of figures I want Playmates to make, this is a hole in the line. I'm lucky enough to have a custom here, which is, I'm assuming, a data repaint of the hands and then the head from the All Good Things figure, is my understanding of it. But yeah, I mean, this figure was not made.
Weird. Maybe they just weren't selling. Maybe the movie line just wasn't selling.
Well, I think when these came out, it was near the end of the line. It was starting to peter out. And I guess they thought they could make more money from Target with the exclusive. I'm sure Target paid them to have an exclusive line, more than they thought they could sell a mess of them. But it is definitely a weird hole. It's a weird hole in the line. And so there are plenty of, I think everybody who had these eventually went out and got or made their own Geordi custom, because it's really weird not to have Geordi there on the shelf when they're all together. But there it is. In fact, when I first got these, I didn't know that they didn't make a Geordi. And so I was looking at them like, wait, this seems weird. And I realized like this has been painted, and then like I think that head's been glued in with hot glue, and eventually looked it up and realized, oh, they didn't make a Geordi. So very strange. Very strange. So there's a hole for you, Playmates. And frankly, I want all of the figures in this uniform. I want you to do the Deep Space Nine. I want you to do Voyager, because after Voyager, that whole crew eventually put on those uniforms. They had to have, right? So I would very much like to see those. But, folks, that is the Target exclusive Next Generation movie era figures. Do you have any experiences with your own? Did you have trouble finding them? Tell us your story below in the comments. And any questions you might have that we can ask smarter people, because the people commenting below know so much more than we do. So it's amazing how many times I learn things from the comments, not from our show.
A very good judge of handsomeness, Keith, I have to say.
They are a tremendous judge of handsomeness, and I'm only a little bit envious. So, just like in real life, I'm just a little bit envious. But nonetheless, this has been a blast. It's been great to get back to the original figures. Mike, remind everybody one more time how they can contact us and support us.
Well, Keith, I'm going to put up this great graphic that a friend of mine made that gives the wrong information. That's patreon.com/KME shows.
.com.
And I will, I guess, make it tomorrow. Maybe you could help me out, buddy. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like making the Patreon page. I kind of started it, but I don't know. Anyway, long story short, you could. It's gonna be great. I mean, there's so much, so many perks.
I think that's it. Yes.
Really, it's just it's a helpful way to offset some of the costs if you're able and willing. But more importantly, please subscribe to the channel. Find some friends to subscribe. That helps us the most at this juncture. And like the video, hit the subscribe, and keep chatting below. We really love hanging out with you guys and chatting in the comments. And I don't know if we're going to sunset that. No, we're going to keep the email address, right, Keith? I think ultimately.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. That people can send me all of your customs at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. There's so many of them. Some of them I might just have to appreciate, because I'll never get through them all. But they're amazing.
Maybe that's where the show goes, and maybe when we sunset your toys, we'll just look at your Star Trek toys.
Ooh, I like it. I'm not changing the song, though.
No. Oh, we could just... Anyway,
yeah,
thanks for watching us. In the interim, folks, this has been...
Oh, you get to do it this time. Look at my Star Trek toys!